Oh yes, my casual, very casual, definitely not pajamas. Sailor Moon Collectibles News and Reviews.
Sailor Moon.
Hello, and welcome to this extremely casual YouTube video. I certainly didn't film a bunch of YouTube videos after my friends left after doing my makeup. That's definitely not what's happening here. I guess this one's called, Why Do I Like Sailor Moon? Because I guess I've never really gone in depth about like why collect all, whoa, hello. Actually one of my coworkers is the one that gave me the idea to talk about why do I like Sailor Moon at all? Like what's the whole deal with this show that you're spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on merch? Like why do they keep making merch? Why did they make a makeup line? If Sailor Moon never existed, I think I would have just become a huge Captain Planet otaku. Captain Planet and Sailor Moon sure have a lot in common in terms of the team dynamics. And I'll start with Captain Planet because I know you guys like Sailor Moon a lot. All the characters have kind of their own thing going on. They all have different personalities. They're all from different places. They might be a little more diverse than the cast of Sailor Moon. Captain Planet was ahead of its time, and Sailor Moon is ahead of its time in different aspects. Sailor Moon came out when I was a kid. I caught it on TV in the morning. I was like 7 years old. It was on Fox. And the first episode I caught was the one in Sailor Moon R where they try to steal the energy of babies, because that's a thing that happened. I remember that show focused a lot on the romance between Mamoru and Usagi, and I didn't have the context of season 1 at all. This is the first episode I caught, but it was her trying to like really get his attention, and there was another girl vying for his attention, which is Anne. And as a 7-year-old kid, when all you have is Captain Planet and Power Rangers,
this is cool. Whatever's going on, I really dig it.
The part of Power Rangers that I liked the most was that they got Tommy and the Pink Ranger together. This is kind of one of those videos that like only 90s kids will get. Sorry to the new Sailor Moon fans, but maybe it'll help to kind of have a reference for, you know, what's the deal with Sailor Moon? Why is it coming back? Why are we celebrating almost 30 years of this show? The whole thing for me, right, was the only shows targeted to a 7-year-old girl were... was it My Little Pony? And there's no romance in My Little Pony. You know, there was like Guinevere and the Jewel Riders, but that didn't really go anywhere. I don't even remember much of it. There was also Gem. Gem was cool, but Sailor Moon was the only show that kind of had it all. It had like the Power Rangers team, it had the Captain Planet, like together we are stronger kind of thing, and then Sailor Moon just added the whole romance stuff. It was awesome. You know how they have those beautiful watercolor backgrounds in the show? It was like static little people who are actually part of the background. You know, they're not animated. Number one, I thought that they were enchanted by the bad guys or frozen in time, because I was kind of trying to figure out, you know, when they transform, do they like freeze the people in time? 7-year-old me didn't want to even consider that. They just didn't animate the people in the city. I really thought it was super cool. It struck me as a very strange show. So like a little context for this as well. I have a very old video on this channel about receiving a pair of sneakers from my mother who had just come back from like Toys R Us or Kids R Us, and they were Sailor Moon sneakers, and the guy at the store was like, oh, this is huge in Japan, it's gonna be huge here, it's called Sailor Moon, whatever. So I kind of already knew, oh, this is Sailor Moon when I saw the show. And then when I finally saw them fighting, and for whatever reason they're stealing the energy of babies, it was just, this is weird, and I like weird. My favorite movie is Return to Oz, and that might tell you a lot more about me than ever telling you anything about Sailor Moon, but I thought it was dope. And what really sealed the deal, again, there was the whole romance, her trying to get the boys' attention. You know, when you're a little kid, you're like,
I like boys, I want to have a boyfriend.
At least in Sailor Moon, you had that payoff. You know, you had characters have these relationships, you know, and then you had the same-sex relationships, which were also super interesting and super ahead of their time. That's a big part of it, too. You know, seeing, like, a healthy gay relationship as a kid in America is crazy. And I know, yeah, they were cousins, or Zoisite was a woman. The thing is, like, if you went on the internet Even if you were a kid in 1999, you read about what it actually was. And it was a learning experience, and it was interesting, and it was valuable. And I think Sailor Moon is valuable. It's a valuable show. It's a valuable cultural phenomenon. I think it deserves a little more respect than what I see in general. People just kind of throw it around like, oh yeah, you know, people like Dragon Ball and Sailor Moon. They're like the granddaddies of anime, and it's kind of more than that. But at the same time, sometimes with Sailor Moon, it's dated, and I am happy to admit that. But I think the nostalgia factor for me makes up for it. What sealed the deal was Moonlight Knight appearing to help out the Senshi and tell Sailor Moon, you know, you can do it. I mean, he always kind of showed up and said, you can do it. That's all he did. I like seeing the male character not actually do very much and the women do all the heavy lifting. I thought that was really empowering at the time. And I know I was a 7-year-old kid and I was like, I want to see more. And then the theme song. Wow. I know this is dumb. This sounds so lame. Of course, I saw the Deke dub for the first time, and I love the original theme song now that I know all the theme songs and everything and what happened in the original Japanese. I usually watch the show in Japanese, and sometimes I like to compare the dubs, but the theme song, just saying like she is the one named Sailor Moon, made her sound so important. I'm talking a lot about like when I first saw Sailor Moon, which I guess means that a lot of it is nostalgia, because usually my criticism of Crystal is a criticism of the manga. I think that it is very small scale. I like that the TV show made all these filler episodes kind of filling out the world. You know, they go skiing. You get what I'm saying? Like, they had all these characters. They had like the priest who works in the... What was the deal? He worked in the graveyard. He turned into an eagle with boxing gloves. Sailor Moon is batshit crazy. I mean, it's fun. It's fun to watch. Again, my favorite movie is Return to Oz, which has a character that's just a pumpkin, and there's a moose head attached to a couch, and it flies. So when I see Sailor Moon and there's a priest with boxing gloves and eagle arms, it's like, I guess I like this weird shit. And the classic anime has a bunch of weird shit. It is content heavy compared to other shows. You know, other shows are very direct, and I appreciate that of modern anime. You know, you'll have a show that runs for 13 episodes only or 24 episodes only. Then they tell a complete tale and they have a concrete ending. Look at Cowboy Bebop, for example. I could always take more Cowboy Bebop, but the ending is solid. Sailor Moon was 200 episodes. The ending was still solid, but I still wanted more. I guess I just want more toys all the time and figures. I don't collect dolls, though. This is all beside the point. Why do I like Sailor Moon? Sailor Moon has a character for everyone to identify with. The main characters are all very different from each other, especially in classic. Forget Crystal, forget the... I mean, the manga, they have different personalities, but Crystal, they really just whitewashed everything, and everybody's pretty bland and serious. But classic, everyone is so colorful, and even, like, Amy gets her whole, like, little boyfriend, and she considers leaving to Germany, and it's... Everybody's so well fleshed out, and she's not just the smart girl. She doesn't just have brains. There's a lot going on there, especially in Stars, when you realize that she's a huge fan of the Sailor Starlights. You're like, wow, she's like me. She's normal. Sailor Venus has a lot of depth to her. You know, she comes off ditzy, really into pop culture, wants to be a singer, all this other teenage stuff. And then you realize that her backstory is incredibly tragic, and she probably wouldn't want to relive that. Sailor Mars is cool. You know, she's cool. She's got powers. She can see things in the fire, you know, and she's sassy. And I don't know why my husband's laughing at me, because she can see things in the fire. She's got powers. She's psychic. I think that's cool, and she's sexy. She got her little pumps. Little pumps. And then we have Jupiter, who is a fabulous example of how women can be strong and feminine, and it does not take away anything from them. You know, Usagi. She likes food. She's not good at school. But she's also not afraid to be herself. You know, she just shows up and she's like, this is what you got, bad guy, and I guess I'm gonna stop you and listen to my speech about not wasting women's time. And I mentioned a lot of women's issues, because again, growing up, I could not name to you a show that was for me. Even currently, I think I'd rather watch an old episode of Sailor Moon than watch, actually the new Fruit Basket is really good, but you know, like with new anime, it's all isekai, and I can't with isekai. But Sailor Moon was solid, and I am very disappointed that it has taken so long to see any kind of trailer or anything for the new movie, because like content-wise, I don't think we're gonna get a lot more content of Sailor Moon after they do the 2 movies and then they cover stars. Like, what are they gonna do? Naoko Takeuchi hasn't written more manga. There's not a continuing story, and at the same time, while I want more, it is very comforting to know that there won't probably be more. There's going to be a finite amount of content and toys and things, because none of us can buy all of the toys. None of us can sit around and watch 900 episodes. Even 200 episodes of the original run is pushing it. What we had was good, and Sailor Moon is kind of like a complete thing, even, you know, disregarding that Crystal has not ended. But the manga has a finite ending. Would I like to see more? Yes. I like the parallel, the alternate universe storyline that was published as a one-off as part of the materials collection. That's the one with Ko Usagi and Sailor Parallel Moon, where all the Senshi have kids, and they're kind of under the tutelage of Chibiusa and Hotaru, who are in their teens, and I think that would be a very interesting story. The 30th century timeline, it doesn't make sense to me. I have lots of thoughts about Sailor Moon, and I will be doing another video about things in Sailor Moon that don't make sense. In all honesty, that was part of the appeal. It was the mystery and the strangeness of some of the villains are crazy and weird. I'm on 18 minutes of filming. Could have just been, I like Sailor Moon because it was part of my childhood. There's a lot there. There's a lot to unpack. And this is my super casual video that was totally not filmed because I'm wearing makeup and I usually don't. Okay, bye. I'm Sailor Tortilla, duh. Bye. Man, I can't believe I'm not using the good microphone. Fuck. Oops.